Welcome back for our final deep dive into ion channels. And we really have saved the best for last. If you recall, those tiny gatekeepers controlling ion flow,
Yeah.
the flow that keeps our bodies humming, well, now imagine those gates getting kind of sticky. And that's where channelopathies come in, diseases caused by those sticky ion channels. Today, we're going to figure out how those genetic glitches can trigger everything from epilepsy to heart rhythm disorders and, even our lungs.
You know what's wild is that channelopathies can pop up anywhere. They don't discriminate against any organ system. It's like a medical puzzle.
A puzzle we are going to solve together today. But first, what exactly is a channelopathy?
Well, it's all about dysfunctional ion channels, and these usually come about because of genetic mutations. So picture this. Ion channels are like revolving doors in a busy city. They need to spin smoothly to let the right amount of people through, or in this case, ions. But with a channelopathy, those doors get jammed.
So they don't just stop working completely.
No, it's more complex than that. Mutations can really mess with the flow in a few ways. Sometimes the doors get stuck open, letting too many ions through, like a revolving door spinning out of control.
Oh, wow.
Other times they're jammed shut, blocking the flow entirely. It's like someone slammed the brakes. And then there are times when the doors spin, but they're made of the wrong material, so they just can't transport the ions efficiently.
So the doors are either stuck, broken, or just plain weird. What happens when these ion channel doors go haywire in our bodies?
Well, think about all of the vital processes that these ion channels control. Nerve impulses, muscle contractions, your heartbeat. Disrupting any of these can lead to a whole bunch of different diseases. Epilepsy, for example. Mutations in sodium channels. Those are those busy doorways in our nerve cells. These mutations can lead to seizures. Imagine those doors just stuck wide open, flooding the nerve cells with sodium ions. It's like an electrical overload, disrupting brain activity and triggering those seizures.
So a tiny glitch in a sodium channel can cause such a dramatic impact on the brain.
Absolutely. And then there's potassium channels. They're super important for a regular heartbeat. And if mutations cause those channels to go off, it can lead to arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats that can be harmless or, life-threatening.
So those potassium channels are like the rhythm section of the heart, keeping everything in sync. What happens when they go off beat?
It can completely throw off the heart's rhythm,
Okay.
leading to things like long QT syndrome, where the heart just takes too long to recharge between beats, and that can cause a dangerous erratic heartbeat. And then you have Brugada syndrome. That's another heart rhythm disorder caused by potassium channel mutations.
It seems like these ion channel glitches really have a thing for the heart and brain. Do they mess with any other parts of the body?
Oh, definitely. You have to remember ion channels are everywhere, so any dysfunction can impact almost any organ system. Take cystic fibrosis, for example. It's caused by mutations in a chloride channel, leading to thick mucus building up in the lungs and digestive system. These chloride channels are like little pumps, regulating fluid balance. And when they malfunction, it creates all that sticky mucus that causes so many issues in cystic fibrosis.
Oh, it's incredible how one type of ion channel malfunction can cause such a range of diseases. It's like a domino effect. But speaking of dominoes, are there any we can push back to fight these channelopathies?
Yeah, that's where targeted therapies come in. Instead of just dealing with the symptoms, researchers are developing treatments that target the root cause, that dysfunctional ion channel itself. It's like sending in a tiny repair crew to fix the faulty doors.
I am hooked. Tell me more about these target therapies. What are scientists exploring?
Well, one approach uses small molecules, basically tiny drugs that can bind to that mutated channel and get its function back. Imagine a tiny wrench adjusting that sticky door so it spins properly again.
So it's like giving those malfunctioning channels a tune-up. What are some other approaches?
We also have gene therapy, which aims to replace the mutated gene with a healthy copy, like swapping out the blueprint for a faulty door with a better version.
Gene therapy always seems to be on the cutting edge of medical research. What about cell therapy? Is that on the table for channelopathies?
It is. With cell therapy, the goal is to transplant healthy cells. That can make those functional ion channels. It's like bringing in a whole new crew of door manufacturers to create perfectly functioning doors. Yeah, it's really amazing to see scientists working on this problem from so many different angles. It's like attacking those bad ion channels from all sides.
It's definitely encouraging, especially considering just how many people these channelopathies affect. But developing these targeted therapies can't be easy, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right. It takes a really deep understanding of how that specific mutation affects the ion channel. Think of it this way. You're trying to fix a broken clock. You have to know exactly which gear is messing up and how it affects all the others. It's the same with these ion channels.
So scientists need to find the exact problem in this system before they can even start designing a targeted solution.
Exactly. Let's say you have a mutation that makes a potassium channel stay open too long, messing up the heart's rhythm. Well, scientists could design a drug to kind of nudge that channel closed faster and get the heartbeat back to normal.
So it's like fine-tuning an instrument to get the perfect pitch. But how do scientists even figure out what's going on with these ion channels in the first place?
Well, it's a mix of genetic testing that helps find the specific mutation, and then really complex lab techniques to study how those mutated channels actually work. They can watch the channels open and close, see how they move the ions around, and how they interact with other molecules.
It's like watching those tiny revolving doors under a microscope, seeing exactly where they get stuck or spin too fast.
You got it. And that deep understanding of the pathophysiology, the way the disease changes how things work, is really the...
It's amazing how such a tiny thing, a single mutation in an ion channel, can have such a big impact throughout the whole body. It really shows you how even the smallest pieces of our cells are so important for our health.
Absolutely. And the more we learn about channelopathies, the more we find out about all these complex connections between genes, ion channels, and diseases.
It really feels like we're about to revolutionize how we treat these diseases, moving away from just managing the symptoms and toward actually fixing the problem.
I completely agree. The progress we're seeing with targeted therapies is really exciting, gives a lot of hope to people who are living with these tough conditions.
It's like we're rewriting the whole medical playbook.
Yeah.
All thanks to this new understanding of these microscopic gatekeepers.
Yeah, and who knows what other big discoveries are waiting for us as we keep exploring this part of medicine.
Okay, well, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go back over what we've learned today about these amazing and sometimes not so amazing ion channels.
Good idea. We started by talking about channelopathies, those diseases caused by sticky, messed up ion channels, often because of those genetic mutations.
Right, and how those glitches interrupt the flow of ions, causing problems with those cellular revolving doors. Sometimes they're stuck open, sometimes shut, sometimes they're made from the wrong stuff.
Right. And we talked about how those problems can affect different parts of the body, causing all kinds of things, from seizures to heart rhythm problems to cystic fibrosis.
And of course, we couldn't forget about all the amazing progress with targeted therapies. Small molecules, gene therapy, cell therapy. It's like we have a toolbox overflowing with new ways to help.
It really is incredible how far we've come in understanding and treating these really complex conditions.
It really is. And speaking of incredible, I have a final thought-provoking question for our listeners out there. With all of the progress in gene editing technologies, do you think it's ethical to correct those ion channel mutations before birth? To prevent these diseases altogether?
Wow, that's a question with a lot of different things to think about.
It really is. We want to know what you think. So share your thoughts with us on social media or on our website. We always love hearing from you.
It's definitely a topic that starts a lot of good conversations.
Well, on that note, a big thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of ion channelopathies.
It's been great exploring this complex and always changing field with you.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey into the world of these tiny gatekeepers that play such a big role in keeping us healthy. And until next time, keep those ion channels flowing.